You guys ready?
Yeah.
The March 2019 meeting of the City of Scranton Zoning Hearing Board will now come to order. Will the secretary please take roll?
Mr. Gattens? Here. Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mr. Palmetessa?
Here.
Chairman Walsh?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. In accordance with the Pennsylvania State Sunshine Law, this board shall render its decision on each case either at the end of each hearing or within 45 days of the hearing. If you are to give testimony in a case, please come to the podium, raise your right hand, and wait to be sworn in. After being sworn in, state your name and address and proceed with your testimony. Also, anyone giving testimony who does not become a party to the case may obtain a written decision from the zoning office. I also have two announcements of law. If you are granted a variance or a special exception, you must wait 30 days from the date of our decision to obtain necessary permits to start work. However, you may obtain a permit sooner by signing a waiver that any work done during that 30-day period is at your own risk. A favorable decision by this board shall expire 12 months from the date of said authorization in accordance with Section 111I of the zoning ordinance. If you fail to obtain the necessary permits or do not comply with any or all conditions of said authorization, you must seek an extension. Is there any remarks? Jack, the testament and verification of the postings, please.
Thank you. I, Jack Sweeney, zoning officer for the City of Scranton, do solemnly swear that the following properties listed tonight were posted with a notice of zoning hearing. Agenda item number 1 is 111719 Swetland Street. Number 2, 931 Roland Avenue. Number 3, 428 Warren Street. Number 4, 2033 Boulevard Avenue. And number 5, 1010 Electric Street. Now, for tonight's meeting, I want to make the following announcement. Item number 1, Swetland Street, has been withdrawn and resolved with the City of Scranton. Item number 5, at the behest of Mr. Riener, has been continued till next month.
Thank you. You please call the
I'm
first
sorry, we were posted on March 5th, 2019.
Thank you. You please call the first case.
Agenda item number 1, 931 Roland Avenue.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir.
Name and address, please.
Well, Henry Rosario. I'm in behalf of Angel Rosario, my brother. The address will be 931 Roland Avenue.
Sir, how do you spell your last name?
Rosario. And this is concerning parking, lack of parking in the property. That's basically it. Lack of parking for I can restore the house.
Just for the board's purposes, the gentleman here and his brother are attempting to restore a condemned property over on Roland Avenue. It was a 2-unit up and down, and the upstairs unit was lost due to the excessive vacancy. It was discontinued as far as the city was concerned. So he's here, and I'm just going to try to give you the background because of the language barrier. He's here to try to open up the second unit. There is no parking. It's a situation where the property had never had any parking, and there's no parking available presently. So it would be a hardship case regarding the parking, and he does need 3 spaces due to the 2 units that he's requesting.
And you're saying, Jack, this was always a 2-unit building?
It was always set up as a 2-unit up and down. And again, there never was parking, and there's no parking availability presently either.
Are there 2 kitchens in the building?
Yeah, everything's set up, 2 units.
I was over there and looked at this. Almost every property over there has a two-car garage, other than this specific property. I mean, when I was there, I frequent that area, and I don't think I saw one car on the street every time I go by that. I don't think parking on the street is gonna be an issue there. There was never a car anywhere on the road the 3 times I was past it this week.
And Jack, you said this was condemned?
Yes.
Did this have to go before the Housing Appeals, Jack, and has it gone before it?
No, it has not yet.
So they're coming here first?
Yes, correct.
Okay. How long ago did you purchase this property?
About 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to give testimony on this case? There is not.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Gattens?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mr. Palmetessa?
Yes.
Chairman Walsh?
Yes, vote of 5-0, you've been approved.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, 428 Warren Street.
Are you an attorney?
No, sir. I'm an engineer and a land surveyor.
Okay. You both want to raise your right hand, we'll get sworn in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
George W. Parker, P.O. Box 318, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania.
Dennis Gallagher, 311 Patterson Avenue, Scranton.
Thank you.
We are here, it's okay for me to talk? It's okay for me to go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Could you pull that microphone a little closer, too?
Sure.
Thank you.
That better? That better now?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay. We're here representing the estate of Joan Gallagher, and Mr. Gallagher to my right was the son of Joan Gallagher. The property that we're talking about is a wood frame, 2-story dwelling, and it has 2 addresses on it, 430 and 428 Warren Avenue. It is a single structure, however, it is being occupied as 2 residences. The desire of the estate is that they be allowed to subdivide the property, the actual lot, and in doing that, put a property line through and along the central wall through the house and separate it into 2 parcels for tax purposes. I did survey the property. I did go through the houses, through each side of the dwelling, and have presented the plan that you have in front of you, and will entertain any questions that you may have.
Mr. Parker, is it built as a double?
Pardon me?
Is it side by side, built as a double?
Yes, sir.
So it's listed as a double on the tax rolls? The multifamily? Or a single?
It's listed as a single on the tax rolls, but there are 2 addresses, postal addresses, in other words. Each side is a different family.
I just have a couple questions. Looking at your drawing here, your map, excuse me. The sidewalk, looking at the property to the right, comes in at an angle.
Yes, sir.
Is that all on Mr. Gallagher's property, or is that a shared sidewalk coming in? I'm trying to figure out where the boundary line on that site is.
The boundary line is exactly where you're looking at it and pointing out the question to me. It was built It's an existing sidewalk, it's not proposed. I don't know how long ago it was built, but it was built to service the Gallagher home.
So am I correct in saying part of the sidewalk is on the neighbor's property
You are correct.
and part comes in? So am I safe to assume then that coming off the existing property that's there on the right-hand side, what is the distance going to be between Mr. Gallagher's property and that property that's existing there already on the corner?
Well, that property line to the house to the right, you mean?
Yes.
Approximately 10, 15 feet.
You surveyed it and you don't know that answer? Coming off the property house there?
I was going by the existing property line. In other words, we didn't move that line.
I know you didn't move it. What I'm asking you, from the existing property line that's there
Yes.
forever, what is the distance from that line on the right to the property, Mr. Gallagher's property?
Again, I would have to say approximately 10 to 15 feet. Now, I did shoot the corners of the house. I mean, I had plots of all of this, and I could provide that information.
I'm just looking to make sure it's meeting the setbacks and everything.
Well, it may not. It may not,
Yeah.
because it's existing.
Well,
The relief he needs is, one, the lot area requirement is 5,000 square feet. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Parker, is 5,000 square feet. He proposes Lot 1 to be 2,879 square feet and Lot 2 to be 1,495 square feet. So he needs relief from the lot area. Secondly, the width requires 40 feet. Lot 1 would be okay, because it has 57 feet. Lot 2 needs relief because it has 29.75 feet.
Dan, what was the requirement for that?
The requirement is 40 for width.
Okay.
And he would have 29.75 on Lot 2. Everything else stays the same because it's already as-built.
So we're looking at the right side of the property, is basically.
We're looking at the area, the lot size and the width of the second, of lot number 2.
And did you say what the reasoning was for separating the house?
To make it two separate tax parcels. In other words, it's only one tax parcel now.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'm going to recluse from voting on this. I'm on the chairman of the Park and Recreation Board for New York Park, and I feel at this time I have some intertwining with Mr. Gallagher, and I just think, at this point, it'd be better off I stayed out of this case.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to give testimony on this case?
So actually, it's two, the width of the property is one variance, and then the square footage on that same property. Is that correct?
They're the two variants needed, but it's one project, so you can combine the two variants. You can't give them one without the other. So, project isn't feasible if both variances aren't granted.
So we're going to put them together then?
So we can put them together.
Make a motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mr. Palmetessa?
Yes.
Chairman Walsh?
Yes. Vote of 4-0, you've been approved.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, 2033 Boulevard Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman, members of the board, my name is Joe Tarana, and I represent Paul Adamczyk, has gotten an agreement of sale to purchase 2033 Boulevard Avenue and has placed a deposit on it and therefore is a equitable owner and has standing before the board. I would also like to approach, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I have a packet of exhibits. Start off by saying my last appearance here, I became a hero for my mother-in-law because it was her birthday, and I wished her happy birthday. We get the channel down in Pittston. My whole family's down there watching right now, so I hope I have the same result. I represent, as I stated, Mr. Paul Adamczyk, and Mr. Adamczyk is the owner of a retail consumer fireworks store up in Dallas Township, Luzerne County, Pennsylvania. And as I stated, Mr. Adamczyk has signed a contract with Chris Miller, who is the owner of 2033 Boulevard Avenue in the Greenridge section of Scranton. I know you gentlemen are intimately familiar with the Scranton zoning map, but I've just taken the liberty so you'll have some context of highlighting the CN district in which this property is located. It's in the upper right portion, the northeast portion of Scranton. It's as I said, Boulevard Avenue. It's bordered on both sides by consumer outlets, two pizza places, I believe, and across the street there are some residences. It's an R1A district across the street. Mr. Adamczyk applied for Jack to grant permission to operate a retail consumer fireworks outlet on the site, and Mr. Sweeney, I'm not putting words into his mouth, but I believe he thought that this might fall into a gray area between a retail outlet and something that is prohibited by the ordinance, the manufacture and or bulk processing of, and it says explosive fireworks ammunition. As you can see, I've marked Adamczyk exhibit number 2, and I've highlighted, as I said, we're in a CN district, and retail stores permitted commercial use, not including uses listed individually in this table, and that is permitted as a matter of right. Then we do have, as I said, as exhibit number 3, the manufacture and or bulk processing of explosives, fireworks, ammunition, or gunpowder. It's our contention that we in fact fall under the first, the retail, and that it should be a permitted use, and we are asking this board to grant us that use. I don't know if this is a matter of first blush for the zoning hearing board. It was for me back in 2017. The state of Pennsylvania changed its regulations and laws about what is considered a consumer firework. When I grew up as a kid in Pittston, somebody would open their trunk on Main Street and you'd buy some fireworks. As we saw over the last couple of years, the law was liberalized and you were able to go to tents around the 4th of July and purchase some fireworks. And the law now has moved to the point where you have to have a actual structure to sell the fireworks, and the description and what is allowed under the consumer firework has been expanded somewhat. I'd ask you maybe to follow along with me. As I said, Mr. Adamczyk does operate one of these facilities in Luzerne County. I checked, there are 2 such facilities in Moosic and one up on the Scranton-Carbondale Highway, but there's none within Scranton proper, and for that reason, I thought I would present what is it was actually a tax reform code, because they were starting to, they put a 12% tax on the fireworks that they were permitting, but the exhibit number 4 is actually the new fireworks law in the state of Pennsylvania as of 2017. I do have someone here that works with Mr. Adamczyk that's much more knowledgeable than I am in what qualifies as a consumer firework. As I understand it, nothing similar to an M80 or anything like that is allowed. As I've been told, an M80 is probably 60 times stronger than what is allowed to be sold retail in the state of Pennsylvania. There's a definition there for consumer fireworks, and there are several grades, let's say. There's the caps that we all played with as kids. That's not regulated at all. There's the consumer fireworks, and then there's the display fireworks, and we're not talking about having any display fireworks, selling any display fireworks. That's strictly regulated by the state of Pennsylvania and would not be allowed in this district. However, we do believe, as I said, that a retail outlet for consumer fireworks would be allowed under the code and under the Pennsylvania state laws. There are some restrictions on the use of the fireworks, and I'll direct your attention to my highlights on Adamczyk exhibit number 4, page 3, that I've marked and highlighted. First of all, in order to purchase one of these consumer fireworks, you have to be at least 18 years of age, and you cannot be in the fireworks store unless you are 18. There's prohibitions. You can't use them on private property. And again, these are just the actual use, not having specifically to do with the sale of the consumer fireworks, but I don't want anybody to get the impression that you could use them willy-nilly once you purchase them. So you can't use them on public or private property without the express permission of the owner. You can't throw them in or out of a motor vehicle, that's 2 and 3, or out of a building. You can't sell it to, or they can't be used by anyone that's under the influence of alcohol or any other controlled substance. And you can't use them within 100 feet of an occupied structure. And there's another provision that says you can't use them within 300 feet of a consumer fireworks retail outlet. I don't want you to have the impression that Scranton has to regulate the consumer fireworks store once it gets in business. There's a very strict regulation process. The Pennsylvania State Department of Agriculture oversees and regulates the consumer fireworks retail outlets. There's on Adamczyk exhibit number 4 at page 4, I have my highlights. First and foremost, the facility must comply with the provisions of the Pennsylvania Construction Code Act. That simply means that if there is a body like the Zoning Hearing Board, the consumer fireworks outlet has to come before that board if the permits are required. The second is it should be a standalone and permanent structure, and I don't know if you're familiar with the building that we have that we're talking about, but it's Brian's Auto Service and Sales, and it is a standalone structure. It's separated from wholesale and retail sales. They don't anticipate having any wholesale, I don't believe, in this, and it shall be appropriately fire separated. It shall be no closer than 200 feet from a facility selling gasoline, propane, or other flammable products, and there is no such facilities within and even greater than 250 feet. It shall be located at least 1,500 feet away from another licensed facility, and as I stated, the closest one here, they were both approximately 7 miles away, the one in the Scranton-Carbondale Highway and the one in Music. It has to be monitored by a burglar and fire alarm system, and they have to have quarterly fire alarm drills. And there's additional issues that I'll deal with in a few seconds. And again, I'm just saying this so that you can get comfortable with what actually goes on the site and how it's regulated. There is an initial application fee of $2,500 with the Department of Agriculture. They can come up within 30 days of the application and inspect the building to make sure it's all in compliance and the operation is in compliance. And the first year and every year thereafter, there's an additional $7,500 license fee for the retail outlet. Again, it is inspected annually or more if needed by the Pennsylvania State Department of Agriculture. And then I'll get into the conditions of the facility, which I spoke about previously. First, the state law requires that there be actual security personnel 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days before and including July 4th, and for 3 days preceding and including January 2nd of every year, which of course would be the prime season for the fireworks. No smoking in the facility, no products, lighters, matches of any type are allowed in the facility. There's no unaccompanied minors allowed in the facility, and as I said, you have to be at least 18 years old to purchase the consumer firework. The owner must carry a $2 million liability policy. Every employee has to have training in the care and control of the consumer fireworks. You can't have anything related to a display firework, which we all know from our annual 4th of July public celebrations. There can be nothing related to that within the structure. You can't sell it, as I said earlier, to anybody that's under the influence of a controlled substance or alcohol, and they have to have emergency evacuation plans in place. I believe that's my last highlight on the rule, but as I stated in the beginning, I do believe that this application falls within the normal standards of a retail establishment, that the manufacture and processing and bulk processing of fireworks and explosives does not apply in this situation, that it's strictly a permissive use, and as I said, I'm not very knowledgeable, and you may have some questions about the specifics of what types of fireworks are sold, and I have someone here much more knowledgeable than me that's prepared to answer any of your questions.
Before I have a couple of questions that maybe you can answer. You said Mr. Adamczyk operates another store in Dallas, Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir.
Is that in a residential area or commercial area?
That's the same mixed area as here.
It's a mixed area?
Yes, sir. It's on, well, it's actually on the highway, the Dallas Memorial Highway, but it's abutted at the rear by residential properties.
And in the city of Scranton, just for my own knowledge, I mean, something I could check, but evidently, I mean, since the state law changed, it's legal to sell them. Is it legal to light these in the city of Scranton?
According to the state law, and I don't know if Scranton
the city law is going to overshoot the state law when it comes to that. But my question is, if people purchase them there, are they able to light them legally in the city of Scranton?
I don't know that.
I don't know either. I would have to ask somebody from the fire department that question.
I mean, I know they overlook it on the 4th of July, as we all know, but I'm pretty sure that you're not able to. And
But state law would precede the sale of the...
I'm not saying they can't sell them. I'm asking
Right.
if they could light them. That's my question was, can they light them once they purchase them?
And we're here to ask that we be allowed to sell them.
Yeah, I'm just asking for, I said
Yes,
my
sir.
own
It's a good
knowledge.
question. I wish I
I'm not
had
trying to
the
put you up
answer.
against the wall. I'm
I
asking for my own
understand.
knowledge.
I wish I understood the answer, but I just took it for granted that they're allowed in the city, because as you said, when I went up to high school up here, I remember a lot of times
we all
were
had them.
throwing fireworks around.
But they weren't legal is a problem, though. All right, thank you. I wasn't trying to put you against the wall. I was
Thank you,
just
sir. I
asking you a question.
understand.
About down at your other place, was there ever any infractions or any citations issued?
No, I checked on the Department of Agriculture website, and they show infractions, and then there was none for this facility. Is there maybe somebody from the audience would have a question for the more expert.
I thought you had someone coming up that
We
was
do.
It's up to them if they want to come up.
If you have some questions of him as to the specifics of what types of fireworks are allowed, I'll have him introduce himself and state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Drew Poslock.
You please raise your right hand. Yep. Well, hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
My name is Drew Poslock. My address is 319 Vista Drive, Shavertown.
I'm sorry, say it all over and get it louder.
Drew Poslock. My address is 319 Vista Drive, Shavertown.
How do you spell your last name?
Poslock.
And you want to just
So, yeah, I
describe
could-
your experience and...
Yeah. So what I do is I work with manufacturers over in China. I go to China to develop these products. All of our products are tested and approved with AFSL. They regulate, there's a document, APA 87-1, and I have a paper that is general table of contents, and this shows kind of what our product is tested for. Our product is tested so that when it goes off, there are no sharp fragments emitted. Impact sensitivity, if you drop it, it won't go off. Pyrotechnic leakage, no powder will leak out of it. And our products are tested on numerous different areas, and they all pass.
Andrew, would you just describe for us what range of products do they, in Pennsylvania, are they allowed to sell at a facility such as this?
So what we sell is consumer fireworks, and it depends on the device. All devices have different limitations. We're allowed to sell up to 500-gram multi-shot cakes. But depending, rockets, you're allowed 20 grams of composition. Firecrackers are 50 milligrams of composition. And I know I heard some concerns about M80s. And just for reference, I have a paper here. This is from the ATF. M80s usually have approximately 3 grams of explosive composition in them. And like I said, our biggest firecracker has 50 milligrams. Quarter sticks contain up to 30 grams of composition. So our fireworks are nowhere near the size of display fireworks. Display fireworks goes up to pounds of powder. The composition, the chemicals, the fuels that we're allowed to use is very tightly regulated, and they're all tested and approved through AFSL.
I'm going to interrupt you. I have a question.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not the one to answer. I don't know if Mr. Adamczyk wants to answer it, or the attorney can answer it. How much you plan on storing in that building?
Like pyrotechnic composition?
Your
Or
fireworks,
like weight?
all together. Every firework you have.
Probably around maybe 800 cases.
And how many's in a case? How much would a case weigh? So how much poundage
A
would we
case
say?
usually will weigh about 20 pounds. However, most of the weight in a firework is just paper. Most of the weight of it is paper and clay. So when a firework is made, the very bottom of the tube is pressed with a chunk of clay, and that just prevents any of the gases that build to shoot it up from going downwards. So 70 to 80% of the weight of a product is just in clay and paper.
And how many cases did you say again? 800?
Maybe up to 800, I would guess, roughly.
So,
it is a
I mean,
pretty
if
small
800
building.
only filled a half a building, would you put more in that building then?
To be honest with you, I think 800 is pretty much going to be the capacity of the building based on the square footage of it. And there might not even be a total of 800. It'd be hard to say. Different cases are different sizes.
So when you put 800 cases, well, just use 800 as a number, because I mean, you're back and forth, you're not sure at this point, and I can understand that. If you pack 800 into a building, 4 walls, and it's solid, do you feel you would want that building next to your house? Would you be safe with it next to your house?
Absolutely. The products are extremely safe when they're built. There's no exposed powder on them at all. Like I said,
But there's explosive powder in them. So, I mean, if something, a
Right.
spark should ignite it,
And
there
that's
wouldn't be,
the thing.
and if there, let
Yeah.
me finish. And if there wasn't a fire, or if there was a fire, you would not be concerned about an explosion at that point.
These are 1.4 G. So what these are, these deflagrate. They do not detonate, meaning that if one goes off, it does not cause a chain reaction. It could possibly light another one, but the weight doesn't necessarily make it larger due to just the way that it explodes by a rapid burn rather than a shock wave propagating through it. So that weight of powder does not necessarily make it a larger explosion. It would just be a series of smaller ones, similar to if you light a firecracker and throw it on the ground, it's one pop. If you light a pack of 16, it doesn't make a much bigger pop, it just makes 16 small pops. So, yep.
Could you tell us what your days and hours you'll be open?
Our days and hours, it's hard to say right now. We're interested in just being open mainly around the holidays, depending on how business goes. Around Memorial Day, of course the 4th of July for a few weeks, and then maybe around Labor Day. But seasonal for the most part.
Is the other business in Dallas seasonal?
It is, yep. We're open during the summer, not during the winter though.
To feed off Mr. Walsh's question there, so if you're seasonal, so we'll just say July 6th, you're done for the season. Will you empty that building, or are you going to leave fireworks in there?
If Scranton wishes, we can empty that, yeah.
I'm asking what you want to do.
No, we probably will not. We won't have that much product on hand. We get product in right around now from China, between now and May, and then that will sit in a warehouse until we take it out. So usually the buildings are only at the 800 case capacity around the 1st through the 4th, just as we prepare for the holiday rush.
And I have a question. I'm sure it won't fall into your realm. Was that a gas station prior to being closed? I don't know who's going to answer that.
I don't think
so.
it was.
Just an auto body, auto service.
And there's no chemicals left in that building. And my concern with the gas station is there's still underground tanks at that site.
There were tanks there, and I don't have the report with me, but they were fully taken out. Maybe John could speak.
So they're removed?
Yes, they are removed, and there were tanks. I believe that was in the 90s or early 2000s? Yeah, we do have a DEP report. The tanks were removed. Yeah.
Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to give testimony on this? Okay.
Shall we just sit here so we can
Please.
answer some questions?
Will you raise your right hand, please?
Sir.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Tom Welby, W-E-L-B-Y, 119 Park Drive in Scranton, on behalf of State Representative Marty Flynn, who's the state representative for that physical area. We've been asked by some of our constituents to appear and speak on their behalf regarding their objection to the facility that's planned for this residential area. And first, regarding the possibility of this use of this building being a hardship, the two-block surrounding area of that area has a fabulous eclectic mix of businesses that are very successful in that area, from pizza shops and pet grooming places and boutique shops and gift shops. The area, I think, the use of that building isn't a hardship for where they have to use it for a fireworks store. To have a fireworks store within a few hundred feet of a dozen homes, I don't think is appropriate. There are plenty of areas. And also, just to go back, I'm familiar, I lived down in Wilkes-Barre from 80 through 89, and very familiar with the Luzerne-Dallas Highway, Route 309. There are no houses in that area of the Luzerne-Dallas Highway. It's a commercial area. But there are plenty of places in Scranton where I think this would be a fabulous place or there are plenty of places in Scranton where this can be a successful business. I just don't think, nor does Representative Flynn or the people that we represent, feel that a fireworks store in a neighborhood just is not right. And regarding some of the other points that were brought up, is it Pizza Paul's fireworks? Is that the, yeah. First, Mr. Palmatessa asked a question, and they responded regarding violations. There was a violation that the Attorney General's office filed and was completed in 2014 for the illegal sale of fireworks. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. I've got it here, yeah. And also, Pizza Paul's has YouTube videos up of the aerial displays. It's not so much the firecrackers that people are worried about, but the aerial displays and the concussions that go with the aerial displays, and they have YouTube videos up of their aerial displays, and quite frankly, they are competitive with anything that the Lackawanna County does at the stadium. They're beautiful shows, and the ones that are available through that store are also beautiful. I live personally, separate from Representative Flynn's, I live next to Hilltop. My backyard is Hilltop. And the fireworks displays that go on over there are comparable, if not better, than some of the counties. The challenge that we have as people that live in a neighborhood, the people that are setting them off do not have the qualifications, skills that the professionals do that are setting them off. They're setting off huge aerial displays, and they're not qualified to do that, in my opinion. And the fact that I believe the city passed an ordinance where they can't set them off without permits in specific areas. They're limited to where they can set them off. Well, I'm sure you all, in your neighborhoods, you've seen them in your neighborhoods. They aren't going to be stopped. So it's just a safety issue. It's a nice idea to have another new business in Scranton. We're all for it, just not in a neighborhood where there's more than a dozen homes within just a couple of 100 feet of that. Up on Kaiser Avenue, there's some great locations for that. The top of Music Street, there's some great locations for that. There's shopping centers where there's great locations for that, but not in a neighborhood with all of those houses and the kids and everything else that goes on there.
Sir, I'm going to have Drew respond in a second, but let me ask you, how did Representative Flynn vote on this? Did he vote to pass this new ordinance, this new law?
Actually, I'm not sure.
And do you know if you work for the General Assembly, do you know that the General Assembly didn't put any restrictions on having these facilities in a residential neighborhood? That
it's against a zoning violation?
No,
it is.
I read out.
Does it conform as it is to the zoning?
I've read a number of restrictions that were placed in there.
Yes. Excuse me, can you use the mic?
Use the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. The General Assembly placed numerous restrictions on a consumer fireworks retail shop, and they did not place a restriction as to use in a residential neighborhood.
I don't disagree that they passed that they agreed to that, and that the governor signed that. I also don't agree that that was a good idea.
And you don't know if Mr. Flynn voted for it or not?
No. But it doesn't matter. You know, regardless of how Representative Flynn voted on it or how the House of Representatives and the Senate passed it, the governor signed it, still, I do not think that they should be allowed in a residential area, and I don't think that some of the volume of the fireworks that are sold there. I visited a store up on Scranton-Carbondale Highway, and they've got some pretty cool aerial displays that are available for sale. I wouldn't want them in my yard, but I actually just don't want
yes,
them in my yard.
also, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for your kind words about our displays. I work a lot on all of our displays. I'm licensed through the ATF to obtain professional fireworks. And the videos of the shows that you were discussing were our professional fireworks shot with professional 1.3G federally regulated product. This is not product that we will be selling out of our stores, first of all. And second of all, we won't be shooting any product either. Our intentions are not to shoot fireworks. Our intentions are to sell fireworks.
I'm sure they are, and I'm sure you won't be shooting off fireworks there. Fireworks will be available to people in there, and I just don't believe, personally, that it belongs in a neighborhood. There's plenty of areas where it's appropriate, and hopefully you'll be successful with your business in Scranton. I just hope that it's not in a neighborhood. That's all.
Well, it seems like your main concern is the videos that you've seen, and
no,
what I would
that's not
tell
my
you
main
is
concern.
that our products are much smaller than that. Those are professional, unlimited, unregulated product.
I think we understand that. He's
Yeah,
just
and
here to give his opinion.
And I've seen the displays that people have purchased.
Here to give his opinion or Representative Flynn's opinion?
Both. I'm here. I gave my personal address too, not just Representative Flynn's.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. Dan, can I just have a clarification on some of the statements that were made there? Grant the state passed, and they did everything they had to get this passed, but do the local zoning laws override the state when it comes to where they can be and not be in a city, borough?
The state law did not go into where the stores could be located.
Right.
That's in the local zoning to decide where the stores could be located.
Correct.
It just allows stores to sell fireworks.
Right. So I just wanted to clarify that the local zoning, in this case, would have the say in it, no matter what the state passed right there.
I agree, sir, but my point was that they could have restricted it to say that it should be out in a field someplace.
I understand, but they did. My point is to you is that the local zoning laws will set that, whether it's in the state ordinance or not.
I understand, and my argument is the local zoning laws say that it's a retail establishment, and in retail...
Well, then, if we're going to get into it now, what's your hardship? Where do you come for the variance? What hardship are you going to present to this board?
I'm not saying, sir, that we need a hardship. It's because it's a retail outlet and it's permissible.
Well, you're looking for a variance.
That's how they phrased it, but we believe as a matter of right, we are entitled to, because retail outlets are permissible, that we were entitled as a matter of right to it. You can't willy-nilly say that I'm not giving you one kind of retail outlet when you allow another. If you allow a hamburger shop here, you have to allow this shop that is equally as regulated by the state government.
Maybe I can interject.
Yes, please.
Our ordinance, the Scranton City Ordinance, zoning ordinance, talks about the bulk storage. While it does allow retail stores, it does not allow for bulk storage of explosives or fireworks. That is specifically not permitted in a CN zone.
Correct.
They are only permitted in an IL, which is a light industrial, or an IG, which is a general industrial, as a conditional use. So I think that's where they need the variance.
Correct. So
but that is a subsection of manufacturing and bulk processing of.
But it does say bulk storage.
And we won't be storing in bulk.
You're storing 800 cases.
Right, but they're
your
going to...
testimony, 800
right,
cases.
Exactly, and if I can elaborate on that. We sell roughly 200 to 300 different products. So that would be 1 to 2 cases, maybe 3 cases of an individual product. We don't plan on having full cases out, just retail displays.
But you testified, and I asked you
800
twice.
cases.
You're going to have 800, so
Right.
it is bulk storage, 800 cases.
Usually bulk, when referred to in fireworks, federally, I know there's some issue with bulk, and usually it's break apart the cases. Once the cases are broken apart, usually it's not bulk storage anymore.
Is that your opinion?
That would be my opinion, yes.
That's your opinion.
Right.
Thank you.
The Scranton zoning ordinance defines bulk storage as storage which is reasonably beyond what is reasonably needed for customary use on site. So this includes storages of substances intended to be sold or resold. That qualifies as bulk storage, and therefore under bulk storage, it's not a permitted use. They need a variance.
So we'll go back to the variance now that you're...
I'm sorry, I really do apologize. Would you read that again, though? It says...
Sure. It says storage beyond what is reasonably needed for customary use on site.
Right, so if you need it and it's not beyond it, then it's not bulk storage.
Use on site.
Beyond the use, beyond
Right.
the need of the use on site.
If it was used on site, it's not bulk storage.
Right.
If it's beyond use on
Right,
site,
so if
it is
we store
it is
more
bulk
than
storage.
we need at the site, then that is bulk storage. If we store only what we need at the site, it is not bulk storage.
Well, that's the interpretation that I have.
That's the words you just read.
So let's go back to Mr. Evans, just be patient for 1 second here. Let's go back. So you're coming before us to request a variance, correct? Your application
I would
says
again
variance.
say, sir, that we are a permissive use under...
So then why are you here? If you're permitted, why are you here?
Because Mr. Sweeney
That's
denied
true.
us our...
I denied it.
He denied it.
I denied it based, not on the retail store. I think the retail store is fine. And I want to make sure everybody understands, it is a CN district, not a residential district.
Correct.
So The only question here, which we want a clarification, which is why we're here, is the fireworks and the bulk storage. What is the answer there? And the board has to make that decision. But it's nothing to do with the retail store and nothing to do with the residential district.
Mr. Gay, if I could ask you a question. Is there any place that you think this would be safe within the city of Scranton?
In a non-residential zone.
In the city of Scranton?
In the city of
This
Scranton.
is not in a residential zone.
It's a CN zone, it's commercial neighborhood zone, residential. If we could change it to CR when we do the book, but it's residential straight across the street, there's houses. So, and you know that. I'm sure you've seen this property, or this gentleman knows it. You've seen the property. So within 50 feet, 60 feet across that road, there's houses. So it is a residential zone, unlike the highway down in Dallas, which is strictly commercial.
It really isn't.
There's a
but
house
There's a
actually
house
within
actually
100
within 200 feet of the property.
Maybe not even, yeah.
Not even in Dallas. First of all, Dallas is very built up, as you could imagine.
Sure. I'm going by, that's what you said it was. I'm saying Dallas. I know
Yes,
where
sir.
the store is, you know, and it had nothing to do with this case. It was just a while back seen it there.
Okay,
All right.
let's proceed with the testimony. You may come up. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
David J. Evans, 2331 North Washington Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18509. Good evening, Chairman Walsh, zoning board members, Attorney Petnar, zoning officer Sweeney. Good evening. I'm here in objection to this fireworks building, or the business that go down on Boulevard Avenue. Probably be the 8th business down there. It's been freshly painted. It's got a for sale sign on it now for Lewitz, and somebody else is selling the property. As Mr. Gatz touched a second ago, 60 feet, 75 feet across from that building are homes where people, I'm retired now, people older than myself, we live there. The buildings are built back in the 20s, the 40s, and they would easily catch on fire. You know, if something were to occur there, one of those 1 or 2 days that you say the place would be packed with 16,000 pounds worth of explosives. The city, you can't shoot fireworks. You're not allowed to shoot fireworks off within 150 feet of a structure. And again, they're not shooting them off there; they're selling them. I would ask that you would also check it within the amount of burglaries that are down there and the crimes that happen down there. Nice things like that. Well, not nice things, but a lot of people like fireworks, and they could break in and steal and cause a fire, whatever. I live at the top of the hill there, as do some of the people in this room, and we just found out about this maybe 48 hours ago. Somebody passed a flyer out, and I was flabbergasted, and I'm the judge of elections in that area, and so I took time and I went through a few businesses, and then I walked some of the streets and asked people. I knocked on the doors and asked them, and I got one person, and that was actually a business who really he said the city needs all the money it can get. Those are his exact words. But everybody I spoke to in that area, and if you need a petition, I could surely get it, because we just found out about all this. I don't believe the zoning I don't think the zoning allows that in the city. But most of all, I would ask you to sit back and think, would you want your mom and your dad or your neighbors or your friends or your family to have a business, and not to say, hey, good for them, I'm pro-business, but would you want that in your neighborhood? We don't want it in ours, and if you need a petition, I certainly can get it. You've got Marywood College at the top of the hill. You got the plot right behind the building. You got the whole plot section down there. You got a grade school, a block and a half, 2 blocks up the street. And it's right at the bottom, just about at the bottom of Woodlawn. There's a lot of buses there, a lot of kids crossing. And it's just, it's just not right for the neighborhood. And again, I don't begrudge you wanting to open up a store and doing this, that, and the other, but I would think that there's better places to do it than to, you know, in a neighborhood that's full of old folks like me and, you know, or older. So I would hope that you would consider the neighbors and the seniors and the park garden people. There's 1,000 people there that I went knocked on some of their doors. They don't want it either, and those people are a lot older than I. So I hope you find it in your heart to stick up for us. Thank you.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Doris Klosky, 409 Colfax Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18510. I realize I am not in the neighborhood. I do have a business not far from that neighborhood, but not for very long. I'm appealing to the zoning board on the quality of life in the city of Scranton, as being that I'm one of the few people of my peers who did not vacate for the summit. For 3 weeks or more before 4th of July and after the 4th of July, it's like a war zone in our neighborhood. With the bang, firecrackers, the people in our neighborhood and other friends that I have scattered throughout the neighborhood, people that have come back from Iraq and Afghanistan, are hiding in their basements for the fear when they hear the whistle of the rockets and the bangs of the fireworks. I understand that's not the legal aspect of it, but when the store is going to be right in the city of Scranton, where it's much more convenient for it to be, and the way I read it in that little paper that they put on Facebook, it was supposed to be all year-round store, not a store that's open 3 weeks before the 4th of July. I mean, unless I read that wrong in that little paper that was a picture of it in the thing that said that it was going to be a store. I know I'm nervous because I'm not used to speaking in front of people. So I wanted to think, the police can't enforce that shooting off the fireworks near the residents. They can't. I mean, they do it in our courts. We watch them. You'd have to triple your police force in order for them to stop it. And to have that thing, it's bad enough for those weeks. When they have a regular show announced, you can plan for it. If you have somebody that has PTSD, they can take their medication before they're going to go off. If you have dogs that are petrified of it, you can medicate them before it goes off. But when you keep hearing this intermittent banging, it sounds like you're in Syria under attack all night long into the wee hours of the morning with them, and you're making it more convenient by having people be able to go right in the city of Scranton. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know about it, but I thought fireworks are made of gunpowder. I could be totally wrong. But I do know that we had a store when I worked for somebody up in Hamlin, Bob's Auto Parts, and up on top of it, there was a place that had sold ammunition. And there was a fire in the neighborhood, and the fire spread to that store. And the firemen couldn't fight it because they were dodging the banging, the explosive of the ammunition going off. Now, I do not know if fireworks would do the same thing, but gunpowder to me is kind of gunpowder, and if, let's say, Little Pizza Heaven had an oven fire, and it's not that far from there, or one of those stores, I'm not exactly sure of the logistics, and the fire spread, how would that be for our city fire department trying to fight that fire? I just feel it doesn't have to be so convenient to be within our city limits. And maybe that's not a legal standpoint, but it is a quality of life standpoint in this city. Thank you for listening.
Ma'am, can I just ask you one question, ma'am?
Yes.
You didn't, Paul Adamczyk, or nobody associated with the business.
Who?
The person that's trying to get this business open?
I have no idea who they are.
Right, but you mentioned a Facebook post. You didn't see anything from the company's mention.
All I saw was the thing that was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Somebody posted the thing that was in the newspaper.
I saw,
I could have sworn it said that it was going to be.
I saw that same thing, and
So-
I'm pretty sure it did say year-round. That was not put out from us. I'm not sure who put that out, but that was not us.
Thank you.
And that's not our intentions as well. And,
Sure.
Just to verify that, the different neighborhood associations throughout the city, when the legal notice is printed in the paper by Mr. Sweeney, do post them on the Facebook page.
I
That's
just
all.
want to make, I didn't
Yeah,
want
that's what it was.
to seem like
I
we
seen
had an
it.
advertisement out there.
No, it was a legal notice that was in the paper.
Will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Jason Cuff, 512 Marion Street, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18509.
Thank you.
I pulled up from Scranton's website. It is legal in the state of Pennsylvania. The city of Scranton does have certain restrictions about fireworks, what you need to be aware. And I'm just going to go down to fireworks cannot be discharged within 150 feet of any occupied structure, whether or not a person is actually present in that building at the time. So if you pass this variance, basically you're saying that variance doesn't matter, because there's really not many places in the city of Scranton where people are going to be lighting them off legally, right from your own words, black and white. And I agree with Attorney Penatar said about bulk storage. That definitely fits the definition. So that's 2 violations right there. So, I mean, fireworks are always around, but there's plenty of other business opportunities in Scranton. Do we really need a fireworks store to make it readily accessible? You know, people have to travel out of town, out of the city limits at least to get it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to give testimony? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Donald Mayer, 934 Richmond Street, Scranton. I just want to say that I just wanted to bring up a couple other things. I do commend the people on wanting to open a business, but I'm totally against it in our neighborhood. And I think that a couple of things that also need to be considered is, although they may follow the law in the operation of their business, the fact that the business is not going to operate on a year-round basis one would tend to believe that the building's not going to be occupied, maybe for days or weeks at a time. So, I mean, if there's a problem, maybe somebody wouldn't know about it right away. And also, Robert Morris School is about 715 feet away from the proposed store. And if you draw an arc, just from Boulevard Avenue, there's 85 residential buildings within 1,000 feet of that building. Now, that's, you know, I did it online, so I just wanted to point that out to you. You know, it's not scientific, but it's just not the right place for this type of business. And I don't think any area in the city of Scranton is appropriate for a fireworks store. That building was built in the 60s. I don't think that it's concrete block. And also, some of the other stores that I see around store their fireworks in the shipping containers they come over from China in. There's a property adjacent to that building, so we just want to make sure that something like that doesn't happen because of the obvious fire hazard. Thank you.
Thank you. You raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
My name is William Lynn. I live at 937 Richmond Street, Scranton, 18509, and I'm a close neighbor to this proposal. I come to speak in opposition to the proposal. I've been at my address for over 40 years. It's already been mentioned, there's an elementary school which my children attended right down the street from this business. To seek if I understand this, and I just learned about this yesterday myself, but to seek a zoning variance I don't think is appropriate, particularly if you look at the mix of, quote, businesses that are commercial there. It's already been mentioned, pizza shops, successful pizza shops, restaurant, children's store, which I believe is right next door. So in summary, I don't think it's a good fit for our area. It's been mentioned earlier, and I'd encourage the owner and the proposers to look at other areas that are not near residential neighborhoods that might be more welcoming to them. Because of what is located around that proposed location, I would respectfully ask the board not to grant a variance, and I'd encourage the proposers to look for a new location. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to give testimony?
I forgot to mention.
Come up to them.
Sorry to be, David Evans again. Sorry to be a pain in there. David Evans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be a pain. I've owned a couple restaurants in many years ago, and there's also, I was just thinking about it, the retarding system for flames and sprinkler system. Has anybody looked in to see if there's anything in that building? I don't believe there is. Would that be also necessary to have if there was all that stuff there? Okay, just a thought. I apologize.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to give testimony? You raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Name and address, please.
My name is John Foley. My address is 71 East Shore Drive, Music Lake. I own a residential property, 1020 Electric Street, Greenridge. I am opposed to the project. I'm opposed to the project because I believe it belongs someplace else. I'm very familiar with the Dallas Highway, Allen Dukes, to maybe the old clock shop. Everything out there is all retail. It's an excellent place to have a shop. It is not an excellent place to put a store like that in Greenridge, Boulevard Avenue. I would dare say that they're probably doing it for economic reasons. Without having the information, I really can't say that definitively, but it would definitely cost more to put it up on the Carbondale Highway. I find it somewhat disconcerting, and believe me, I am by far no expert. I heard that there was some concern about the gas station and the tanks were removed, and that's really great. Well, what I haven't heard, and frankly, maybe the state has not addressed it, but I have to believe, like most of Greenridge, there are gas lines running underneath that street and through every house, or mostly every house, on Boulevard Avenue, not to say going up through Greenridge. I don't know whether that presents a hazard. But God forbid there would be an explosion. If there were, could that cause a chain reaction to devastate the lower part of Greenridge? I cannot not answer that question. Frankly, maybe it's a question that you folks should be presenting that to the state if it has not already been addressed. So with that, gentlemen, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Did you guys have anything else to add to any closing statements?
I would just state and reiterate our position that this is the first step in a process, that a lot of the concerns that were raised by the residents, should this board approve what we are asking, will be addressed by the Department of Agriculture when they stringently take a look at this building and decide whether or not it is appropriate to house a consumer fireworks retail shop. I do believe that the ordinance states very firmly that a retail outlet is permissible in this district, and I believe that any reasonable reading of the Scranton City Ordinance, which states that bulk storage is storage more than what you need on the site, certainly doesn't apply in this because they will only be using what is appropriate for the use at the site. I also know that your ordinance gives appropriate authority for this board to place special reservations and conditions on it. I've heard concerns about the school, which we all share, things being left there during the winter time. I think the team that's putting this together would not be averse to making sure that it's empty during the off-season, the summer when there is no school. And I think we've heard testimony from Drew that alleviated many of the fears of that were raised by the residents. And I'll rest on that.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Gattens?
No.
Mr. Morris?
No.
Mr. Marks?
No.
Mr. Paul Matessa?
No.
Chairman Walsh?
No. Vote of 5-0, you've been denied.
Thank you.
Bob.
Meeting adjourned.